If you're African and living in the diaspora struggling with high blood pressure or poor gut health or low energy, and you feel like every food solution that's being offered to you just ignores the foods that you already eat, I want to tell you about 3 African plants that African communities have been using for generations to heal their hearts, fight infection, and fortify their foods. If you grew up eating these foods but have since stopped, by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why these 3 plants can help you live a healthier life, and they deserve a permanent place in your diet. I'm Kudzayi. I'm not a doctor. I'm somebody who loves learning, and I've spent the last 10 years sharing what I've learned about African foods to help other people live healthier lives. Now let's get into it. I discovered Tigernuts while researching another African plant. I had read so much about them, their fat profile, their fiber content, their traditional use as a foundation food across West Africa and Egypt. So I just had to try them. So I bought some. I washed them and I boiled them. 3 hours later, they were still rock hard. At which point it occurred to me that I should have asked my Ghanaian friends how you cook tiger nuts. So I called her and I asked her, how much longer do you need to cook them? At which point she proceeded to tell me that she had never cooked tiger nuts in her life. It turns out that you just wash them and you soak them overnight just to reconstitute them. This is what they look like. No boiling required, not even slightly. Anywho, I used my very well boiled rock hard tiger nuts in my salad, and that just gave it an extra crunch. I have no regrets. It was absolutely delicious. But here's where my story matters beyond just my cooking misadventures. Tiger nuts are actually not nuts. They are small tubers, underground root vegetables, and despite their name, they're one of the most heart-healthy foods on the planet. Over 70% of the fat in tiger nut is oleic acid, and that's the exact same monosaturated fat that makes olive oil so famous for heart health. In a good bottle of olive oil, oleic acid makes up about 70 to 80% of the total fat. In tiger nuts, it's about 70 to 76%. So the fat profile is pretty much identical. So when the world is being told that olive oil is the healthiest oil you can use, now you know that tiger nut oil does exactly the same thing. But tiger nuts have been a staple in West Africa and Egypt for thousands of years, even though it does not have the same documented history or popularity as olive oil. But the heart health benefits are just the beginning. Tiger nuts also are one of the best sources of resistant starch. That's the type of fiber that feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut and triggers the production of short-chain fatty acids. These short-chain fatty acids fuel the lining of your gut and help to regulate your immune system and even influence your brain through the gut-brain axis. They are rich in zinc, magnesium, phosphorus, iron, and they have a low glycemic index, which makes them a perfect food for people who are managing blood sugar. And traditionally across Nigeria and West Africa, tiger nuts have been used as a natural aphrodisiac. They are mixed in with ginger, honey, and coconut. Their high vitamin E and zinc content support hormone production. Tiger nut milk is also called hocha de chufa in Spain. It's one of the most complete plant milks that you can make. You just wash them, you soak the tiger nuts overnight, you blend them, and then strain. That's it. So the next time somebody tells you that olive oil is the gold standard for heart health, now you know about tiger nuts. The fats are just as healthy. Plus, they also give you the benefits for your blood sugar and your hormone health. Our African ancestors already knew this thousands of years ago. So plant 2 is hibiscus. So it's known in many African countries as zobo in Nigeria, or sobolo in Ghana, or bisap in Senegal, or chindambi in Zimbabwe. It's a deep red tea that tastes sour. I became a fan of hibiscus when I read that it was full of vitamin C. So one time when I felt a cold coming on, the scratchy throat, the heaviness behind your eyes, I decided to brew a pot of hibiscus tea, and I just spent the day sipping that. When I woke up the next morning, I felt perfectly fine. No sign of the cold or the flu. Every time, hibiscus just nips the cold in the bud for me. So apart from being rich in vitamin C, hibiscus also has anthocyanins. These are the compounds that give it its deep red color. Anthocyanins are powerful antioxidants that directly support your immune system's ability to fight viral infections. So when you feel a cold coming on, drink some hibiscus tea. You are flooding your body with the exact compounds that it needs to mount a rapid immune response. But one of the most remarkable things about hibiscus is what it does for your heart and your blood pressure. Hibiscus works as a natural ACE inhibitor. Let me explain what this means. Your body produces an enzyme called angiotensin converting enzyme, ACE. This enzyme's job is to produce a substance that tells your blood vessels to tighten and to constrict. When your blood vessels are constantly restricted, your blood pressure goes up. ACE inhibitors are one of the most commonly prescribed classes of blood pressure medication. They work by blocking that enzyme, and it stops this constriction signal from being sent. Hibiscus does the same thing naturally. Multiple clinical trials have shown that hibiscus tea can significantly reduce blood pressure, just like a low dose of medication. It also helps to lower your LDL cholesterol. That's the bad kind. And hibiscus has shown promise in early research for supporting liver health and metabolic functions. However, and this is important, if you are already on blood pressure medication, please speak with your doctor before drinking hibiscus regularly. Because it is so effective at lowering your blood pressure, combining it with medication can actually cause your blood pressure to drop too low. And if you're pregnant, hibiscus is generally not recommended. It contains compounds that may stimulate contractions. If you have normal blood pressure and you are not pregnant, hibiscus tea is one of the most powerful and delicious things you can drink regularly. If you want to explore this and 180 other African foods in our database, download the AfriWellness Food app. It's an app that scans your plate of African foods and gives you the health benefits, the traditional uses, and shows you what the science has confirmed about their medicinal properties.
So when you click the link, you can sign on with Google or with your email address, and then you'll be taken to this goals page. You have the option to fill in your details. That way, the foods that get recommended to you will be in alignment with your goals. So for example, one of the goals you'll be able to focus on is things like diabetes or hypertension or nutrient deficiencies. You have the option to save those goals. Then that takes you to the AI food scanner. You can either take a picture of your food or upload. AI scans your plate, and then it pulls up a list of ingredients that it can see or identify from the photo. So as you can see here, it's just identified it as a green leaf powder, but you have the option to type in exactly what it is. You can delete entries. The app will scan the database and come up with a list of health benefits for your particular African foods. If you want to get a deep dive of the benefits, just click on the link and that will take you to the following page where you get to learn the ancient wisdom, what modern science confirms, as well as a breakdown of the key nutrients that are found in this particular African food. Once you close out of this, you'll be taken back to the scan page where you can share your plate with the village. On the Village tab, this is what it will look like.
African foods hardly get recognized as nutritious. Meanwhile, they offer us the solutions to so many of the health challenges we are facing today. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Plant number 3 is tamarind. Now, I didn't grow up eating tamarind in Zimbabwe, but tamarind has a deep history across Africa. And the baTonga people in Binga, one of Zimbabwe's oldest indigenous communities that live along the Zambezi, have used tamarind for generations to fortify their staple foods. It is mixed with mealie meal to add nutritional depth to what would otherwise be just a simple carbohydrate. The baTonga understood through centuries of observation that tamarind made their food more nourishing, and now modern science is confirming exactly why. Per 100 grams of raw tamarind pulp, it provides about 230 calories, 62 grams of carbohydrates, 38 grams of natural sugars, 5 grams of fiber and 2.8 grams of protein, and very, very little fat. It also contains potassium, magnesium, iron, phosphorus, calcium, and B vitamins, especially thiamine, which is essential for converting food into energy. Because tamarind is high in carbohydrates and natural sugars, it can provide quick energy, but the fiber also helps you to sustain that energy without the energy crash. Tamarind is a good source of magnesium. It contains about 92 milligrams of magnesium per 100 grams. Magnesium is a critical mineral that acts as a cofactor in more than 300 enzyme systems in the human body. These functions include protein synthesis, muscle function, nerve signaling, blood glucose control, blood pressure regulation, bone development and structure, and the synthesis of DNA, just to name a few. Low magnesium levels have been linked to chronic diseases, including migraines, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and hypertension. Tamarind also has about 5 grams of fiber per 100 grams, which can support bowel regularity and also feed that good bacteria in your gut. This helps explain why tamarind has long been used in many traditional food cultures for digestion. Tamarind also contains potassium for fluid balance and heart support, and has about 628 milligrams of potassium per 100 grams. Potassium helps the body to manage fluid balance and supports normal blood pressure function. Tamarind should not be treated as a blood pressure medication. It also provides 2.8 milligrams of plant-based iron per 100 grams, but this can only be helpful if it is paired with a vitamin C rich foods like baobab. The vitamin C helps your body to absorb more of that plant-based iron. Tamarind pulp contains plant compounds such as polyphenols, flavonoids, tannins, and phenolic acids. These compounds are being studied for antioxidant activity as well as anti-inflammatory activity. But the story that made me want to include tamarind in this video is something that is completely unrelated. And that's microplastics. We are all consuming microplastics. They are in our water, they're in our food, they're in the air that we breathe, and research has found them in human blood, in breast milk, and in the placentas of unborn babies. The health implications are still being studied, but the direction of the research is not encouraging. Scientists are looking for natural biodegradable ways to remove microplastics from water and have been studying compounds from tamarind seeds. The sticky natural polymers in tamarind seeds have shown the ability to bind to microplastics in water. It traps them so that they can be removed. Early results suggest that tamarind-based materials could become an important tool in water purification. It is a safer, biodegradable alternative to the synthetic chemicals that are currently being used. Now, just to be clear, the research is about water purification, not about eating tamarind to clean microplastics out of your body. So there you have it, 3 plants, Tigernuts, Hibiscus, and Tamarind. One that matches olive oil for heart-healthy fats and have been foundation foods in parts of Africa for thousands of years. One that works like blood pressure medication. One that the baTonga have been using to fortify their foods for generations, while the rest of the world is looking for supplements to fortify their foods. This is what African ancestral wisdom looks like. And science is confirming it one study at a time. If you enjoyed this video, I think you will enjoy this next one coming up on your screen. Thanks for your attention, and I'll see you in the next one.